This human design overview, once again, is not a foundational analysis. This is an overview. And this is where we learn how to say our yes and no based on our energy type. And then we give a little bit of brain candy. So, part one of this experience is how do we say our yes and no? And then part two is the brain candy. Now, let's start with a little bit of information before we get into how to say your yes and no. I'm Shredda. You are a reflector. This is nothing new to you. You know this. TOS. But because you are a reflector, there is no inner authority. We'll talk about that. So the reflector, this is your type. If we're talking about the astrology community has words like Gemini, Cancer, Capricorn, Leo, etc. And sorry, my cat is distracting me here. And in the astrology community, if you're a practiced astrologer, then those words mean something more than just a title and more than just a month. It really gives you more information deeply about a person. And that's the same thing over here. This is your title over in the human design world. You're a reflector. And maybe to someone who may not be trained in human design, it may not mean much, but for someone who is trained in human design, it really does mean a lot. So, for me, I'm a Capricorn. That doesn't mean much to me. If I didn't know what month I was born in, I wouldn't know what month it was assigned to. And that's so. I was just thinking about, am I though? You said I'm a Sagittarius rising sun, I think. Anywho. But yes, you are a reflector, and you just need to hear that word. Why? Because at a deep level, your energy, your core understands reflector. It's like hitting you at the DNA level. All right, let's run into part one of this experience. Part one of this experience, as I said, is how does imShredda say their yes and no? Well, the particular words starting on the screen here says it. And we've discussed this together before, but we'll elaborate on it here. You need to wait a lunar cycle. There is no inner authority. So when people say, like, trust your gut, trust that instinct, it's like, well, this gut's not defined, right? You don't have that consistent access to that, that gut response that people, expect you to have. So you have no defined centers. These things that look like chakras, not colored in, no definition. And, okay, we're getting into the brain candy. I'm sorry. We'll save this stuff for after. The basic idea of understanding how you say your yes and no is waiting a lunar cycle. Now, this usually shocks people. It's like, what? I have to wait like 28 to 30 days. I don't know the moon cycle myself, but I have to wait that long to make a decision. Well, this actually helps protect your energy. So you are here to wait a lunar cycle because it allows the planetary alignments to move through you. And you get a feel for if you really want to feel that way, if you decide to commit to it, or you get to experience all the ups and downs and all of the different pressures or planetary alignments that might affect a decision. But it's really important because the lunar cycle is really the most consistent one that we can follow. And that's why we do. Waiting a lunar cycle, if you decide to look at human design or the moon in a human design way, oh my God, I'm getting into brain candy stuff. If you decide to look into human design and the moon, as it moves through each moment by moment and what the moon is actually doing, this is what's most consistent in your life, is the moon. How is it impacting you? What is it saying? Let's literally go to your, oh my God, I'm getting into brain candy. So let's stop, get back to how you say your yes and no. Because there is the not so consistent, not so reliable energy in the centers, that's why you depend on the moon as your authority. So once again, when people say, you know, trust that gut, trust that instinct, it's not as reliable for you as it is for others. So don't try to make that happen. You know, you get your feeling of what is correct for you through waiting, through time, through allowing the planets to move through to see if the decision that you're making is correct for you or not. And maybe one lunar cycle isn't enough. Maybe you need 2 lunar cycles. Maybe you found out in the middle of a cycle that, maybe I don't want to. But did you wait the whole lunar cycle to see that maybe you might want to? So it's really important that you wait the lunar cycle to see what it really feels like. Ponder it. Well, don't ponder it, because that's the opposite of what you should be doing in human design. But waiting a lunar cycle. We've already heard this, and I just feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point. I know that's a vulgar expression, but you already know what you're doing here. So that's why I'm really tempted to move into the brain candy very quickly. So let us move into that brain candy. You already understand you need to wait a lunar cycle, but it's because the planetary impact, because of the moon. If you follow the moon, it'll help you. So let's look at the moon right now. What's the moon doing? The moon is making you feel like you want to be discreet, possibly, and even more so because like you're in the hermit phase. It's making you feel like you want to like possibly work on your projects and just be by yourself and have your blinders on to the world, but people are going to notice your mastery anyway. Where are we at? Oh, the 54. So the 54 is making sure that you're making your proper commitments. So interaction in its mundane social context, but also one's mystical and cosmic relationships. So your mystical and cosmic relationships are going to be probably what's up close and personal right now. And interactions in its mundane social context. So, 104 days in. Interaction in its mundane social context. Seems pretty awesome, right? So that's how we could look at the moon right now. You would have to learn a little bit about human design gates and lines in order for you to understand a little bit more about what each of these numbers are saying and how they're impacting you. So yes, this human design chart, we are going back to imShredda. Okay. Let's go into the brain candy of what this chart is. We're going to be learning a lot here today. I've kind of mentioned it bits and pieces of this over time because it's a little bit exciting for me to look at this. So you've probably heard some of it, but we're going to go into some aspects that you've never heard before. We're going to go down this pretty little line of words just so that we can get our eyes off them, and then we'll move into, yeah, we'll move into the rest of what I want to say. I actually feel like starting down here, the not self theme. You've already ran into this, the not self theme of disappointment. Now, it doesn't matter if we're talking to imShredda or if we're talking to anybody who's watching this. The not self theme, in my opinion, is a key indicator, like a signpost of something that you could look at in life. So, for you, imShredda, disappointment is really a signpost of you kind of being off track or off trajectory to your purpose in life. So you're I'm sorry, just looking at 18 things at once. This disappointment is really a key indicator. It's almost, in my opinion, like an up level indicator of where could you look at things in life. So yeah, where are you disappointed in life? imShredda. And what could you do to change it? Well, now that you recognize the places in your life that are where you're disappointed, you could possibly hum and haw about what could happen, and then wait the 30 days to see if that's something that's possible for you, or if that's something that's good that you should proceed with. So, disappointment, I wouldn't shove it down, I wouldn't push it away. I would take a nice little look at it and see, hey, why am I disappointed? What could change? So that I could feel surprised, or a sense of like, oh yeah. So the opposite of the not self theme, you know, what is your goal in life? It's surprise. So reflectors enjoy being surprised. I don't enjoy being surprised. It kind of like shocks my system a little. I do enjoy gifts and stuff like that, but like surprises, they do surprise me. But the key signature for reflectors to be like, oh wow, that's awesome, that's great. Um, so as a reflector, a great indicator for you to look at something that possibly could change in your life because you're off trajectory is disappointment. Now, what makes you off trajectory? Well, let's just say that you went through your month of pondering and your energy's like, yeah, you need to go for it, but you're like, I can't. I don't have the resources, I don't have the capacity, but so you do the opposite of what your energy is saying to do. So that's how you get here. You wait at the lunar cycle, it says go, and you're like, I no, I'm not gonna actually do it because your brain got involved. So you decide not to do it, and then you find yourself disappointed. Or here's the opposite. Um, we are going to say, you go up in your head and you're like, well, if I don't do that, then I'm gonna be a bad friend, or I'm gonna be a bad lover, I'm gonna be a bad streamer. So I'm gonna do it. But then you do it, and then you find yourself disappointed with the situation or yourself or some aspect of it because you went up in your brain, you did it anyway. So you find yourself disappointed. Um, So, how do you get to the opposite of disappointment? If you hum and haw for that month and your energy says, no, don't do it, then don't do it. You are going to find yourself in surprise, the opposite of disappointment. Let's just say you hum and hawed for 3 months and you finally, like, yeah, I finally decided, yeah, I'm going to do it. So if you do it after 3 months of pondering, because, for the first 3 months you didn't understand, do it. You're going to find yourself in line with your purpose, in trajectory with who you are. Let us move up to these two things here, the profile and the incarnation cross. So regarding the profile and incarnation cross, it doesn't matter if we're talking to imShredda or if we're talking to anybody in chat. This profile and incarnation cross actually takes time for you to recognize it. Over time, you will start to recognize that this is who you are. Why does it need time? It's because a lot of us, including myself, we're so far away from the true person who we really are that when I give out this information, people are like, oh, that's not me. But remember, I already told you, it's not. It is you, but it takes a while of, deconditioning away societal crap or things that you think people expect from you for you to be able to feel like this is you, because you're no longer what people expect you to be. You are you. Let us talk about the profile of 4-1. Actually, now that we're here at the profile and we've talked about type, so your reflector in a 4-1. So reflector is like less than 2% of the population. Now, we do have billions of people, so, that still ends up being like maybe a million something. But reflectors are rare. They're like 2% of the population, where, some of the other types are like 70%. So reflectors, a rare type. But then when we look at the profile, this 4-1, that's actually a very rare type as well. So we got this rare type on top of this rare profile. So I wonder if imShredda ever felt like they were an outsider because nobody could understand them because they're so rare. The problem was never with him. The problem was always with people outside because they understood that he was different and maybe like energetically felt that they were different and they just didn't know what to do about it. So this reflector type on top of the profile being so rare on top of rare, like when I told my educators at the IHDS that I have this person in my life, they're like, oh, well, that's interesting. You don't hear too much other than that, but they found it very interesting that it was a rare on top of a rare. Ooh, you're shiny. But let's talk about this profile because you're actually quite concerned about it. There's nothing to be concerned about if you're making the correct decisions in life for yourself, waiting at least that 1 month to be able to make those decisions. Yeah, it's a bunch of numbers here, but I'm going to start breaking it down as to what it means. The first little part means that you're a person who is here for opportunities. You are a networker. You are a person who is here to externalize what it is you're here to externalize or what you've worked on. You are a person who allows people in your network, and if they burn you, they're never allowed in your network again. What's interesting about you is that you're a person who is able to have people come in your life and have people come out of your life, but as a networker, you always have that like solid few, and then you have many. So sometimes people feel like it's offensive that you can have people come in and out of your life so quickly and so often. Well, you don't have an opportunity for me anymore, or the opportunity's gone, so I'm going to move on to the next thing. What's interesting is that I have this particular energy. It could be based in my energy, but this energy here, it's like I'm not gonna quit my job until I have another job. I'm not gonna. This wasn't me, but it's another example of a friend. I'm not gonna uh, break up with this boyfriend until I have another boyfriend. So it's like, um, it's really about people coming in and out of your life, and you know, having this network around you. Your network is very, very important to you. Your network is a part of your success. It's not like a solo thing. It's a part of your success. Now, you already heard that this is a fixed fate, but the thing is that it's within your energy to determine what that fate is. Yeah, we do see the juxtaposition of confusion. The juxtaposition just means that you're a 4-1. You're like right in the middle there of the left and the right angles. Um, so you're the cross of confusion. So here you are. I know you a little bit on the personal level, not very much though, but enough to understand that you are confused about what you want to do. And your purpose in life is to possibly, you know, squash that or always be confused. So be ready to be confused. You're a person who says that they want to work on one thing and another thing and another thing, and that's okay. You know, you're allowed to be confused. You're allowed to want to go in the past and see what happened there. You're allowed to be logical about it and see what experiences already, happened or didn't happen. So, being, yeah, yeah. So, I'm not telling you about your incarnation cross at all. That's a 2-hour reading. But just talking about the word confusion, I'm sure you feel it. I'm sure you resonate with it. But, so this is your trajectory in life, your purpose in life. And you're like, I'm going to be confused my whole life. No, 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 no. That's not the point. No. But I'm not going to spend any time on the juxtaposition cross of confusion. But if Shredda, want to know more about your purpose, you can Google incarnation cross juxtaposition. Make sure you include juxtaposition, and make sure you include these numbers at the end, because there's a variety of different crosses. So, what I want to say though about your profile again is that not only are you a networker and you're an externalizer, it's interesting because you also have this energy that you really want to work on something like quietly or like without really externalizing it until you know that it is good to go. But so regarding this profile, from what I understand, what it feels like is that maybe the ground beneath your feet never feels solid. So it always may feel like sand beneath your feet. And you're trying to make your ground feel solid beneath you, and you're going to research and investigate and like work through and try to get that foundation. And maybe once you do have that foundation, that's when you might feel comfortable to be able to externalize or not. It's up to you whether your energy says it's correct for you or not. So one of the things that I usually do for people is that we go into what is your shining light in the world, 70% of who you are. And then that would kind of like be it. But the thing is that um, I don't want this to be the end of your particular reading, because a reflector reading is completely different. You already understood what being a reflector is. You already understood what waiting a lunar cycle was. You already understood what disappointment was. I just gave you a little bit of brain candy about profile and incarnation cross, and a little bit of extra brain candy regarding why you might wait the lunar cycle. So, I mean, it's stuff you already knew. So, let's go into things that might help you with your education regarding who you are. I said that I would tell you 70% of who you are in this life. Um, so, your personality, you might resonate with what this is. Actually, it's over in your it's over in your moon as well. So, this 64 up here, it's in your head. Um, we can see it here twice. The 64 literally is the gate of confusion, but the line 4 is conviction. So, symbolized by its phases, the moon is assured of transition, convinced by its very process that it will triumph. The assuredness that confusion is a process that results in realization. So, I feel that in you already. You know, you are convinced within this process that you will triumph, and everybody also agrees with that. They see it in you because it is in you. The assuredness that confusion is a process that results in realization. So, yeah, your confusion will eventually come to a realization. So, don't you worry, you will have your realizations. But let's talk about this. Your moon, driving force. Let's talk about qualification. So, not only do you feel like this is a gate of confusion, but you feel like you're qualified as well. Qualification is line 2. Constantly in action, it wastes the very qualities and resources that it will need, getting lost in the confusion and burdening the psyche. This particular experience has the possibility of being in detriment, which means that, you know, you can find yourself constantly in action and you waste your resources that you will need in order to get to the place that you need. So you might get lost in the confusion and burden your psyche. So that's nice to know that you are qualified, but you might get lost in the confusion. You might waste your materials. So this 64, we got to mention them together because this is your shining light into the world. So watch out for your confusion, wasting your resources, and make sure that you're using your proper 1 month cycle to be able to see if what you're about to use for your resources are proper for you. Dude, this literally just makes me laugh. Well, not laughing. I'm literally like, this is great. So, the gate 45 is talking about gathering together the natural and generally beneficial attractions of like forces. So, here, your shining light into the world is going to attract like forces as you navigate and investigate yourself through the world. That's really cool. You're attracting life forces. You're gathering together. You are a collector of tarot readers. But anywho, what does the line 1 mean? Canvassing. The ability to promote and develop gathering together through the education of uncommitted. The material direction lies in education. So that could be the up version of it or the down version of it. Let's see what it could say. The drive for material that leads to aggressive education. So it seems very similar, like the up version of this and the down version of this. But oh my gosh, it's like, I think a lot of people have already recognized the fact that you are like gathering together. You are bringing the people together. That's awesome. It's really fun to see that. Let's talk about your environment. Your environment in which you need to be successful is that of trial and error. So if people can't let you, if your network won't allow you trial and error, then you're not in the proper environment. So your environment needs to be trial and error, where you try something, see if it works or it doesn't. You break it, you bring it back together. Now, this is a perfect environment for you. And when you are in that environment, you know, you could be in the environment when people are doing a trial and error, or you're seeing that trial and error, or they're working through that trial and error. But your environment used to be extremes, and you're moving into um, the behavior of self. So, um, but yeah, your proper environment is one of which it is okay for people to stumble and not be judged by it. Like, oh, you broke that. Let's see how we can fix it together. Instead of saying, oh, you're a terrible person. Why'd you break that again? So it needs to be like this supportive environment where you can go through that trial and error. Now, the type of people that will be successful for you, like to have people around you, are role models. So, role models are the types of people that will help you be successful. Um, First half of your life, stand still. Second half of your life, peace. Those are only words that I'm going to be saying. But, like, yeah, role models. Here, like, obviously, role models are going to be the one who helped me be successful. But no, sometimes role models aren't the ones. What's interesting is that um, I am a role model and we are friends. So that might be one of the places where, you know, we get along well. Or the fact that you're a four and I'm a 4-6, that might be where we attract one another as well, you know, to the friendship. So being a reflector, you're a person who, like, you're about the environment. You're not so much affected by people around you. That's what's so nice about this particular aura, is that this aura is a sampling aura. So it, like, dips its toes in the water, and then it comes out. You know, um, it samples. So that's why it's not impacted by people as much as it is by environments. Being a reflector, it is said that you can kind of, like, see what's wrong in the environment. You reflect back the environment. So you I don't know if you feel like this is something that resonates with you, but you feel like you just attract the proper people. You see what's wrong in the other. See, when I was putting the team together, I was like, "Oh, let's have everybody." But you saw that there was holes in the team, you know, those people who may not be of best interest. Um, so yeah, that gathering together, that coming togetherness, like, you see who's not right. You see it. It's within your aura. It protects you. You see what's not right. It keeps you safe. These are characteristics that you would possibly identify with. These are characteristics that you may not identify so much with, conscious, subconscious, but they come together here in the center. Um, this is your sleep pattern here. There's quite the possibility that the juiciness in life that you seek is sagative extremes. Well, what's interesting about sleep for a reflector, well, you're guided by the moon. And you said, well, seems like each day my sleep is like an hour, an hour, an hour. Well, think about the moon. How does that move? It's not in the same position every day. Therefore, you're going to be sleeping kind of like with the moon. So you're a reflector when you're awake, and you're a reflector when you sleep. And that's something to keep in mind, because you might have this, like, deep underlying disappointment in life that may not be satisfied. And it does come from the sleep. And that's okay. So you're a reflector when you're awake, and you're a reflector when you sleep. So your sleep is also guided by the moon. I'm not going to say too much of that. The reason why I came over here is to maybe possibly tell you your weak point. And your weak point is possibly the gate of extremes. It's not too often that I pull this out for somebody who's new to human design. This is the human design mandala. It shows you where your incarnation cross drops into the wheel of life, I guess you would say. And you drop in over here. This is you. You are in the quarter of bonding. So your purpose in life is fulfilled through bonding, whereas other people's are not. And if we go even deeper, there's actually a particular Godhead. I don't have that particularly available with me, but there's a particular Godhead. If you Google the wheel, and you human design mandala Godheads, or human design Godheads, it'll tell you which Godhead is here. And then maybe you can see the reason why they chose a Godhead. It has nothing to do with the God itself. It has to do with the characteristics that the particular Godhead portrays. So if you want to go to Google and go here, you have to make sure that you're looking at 64, because I think it's just 3 gates where Godhead sits. So yeah, you can Google the rest of it. And get more acquainted with who you are. So yes, there's many different ways that you can get acquainted with who you are. And I'm going to run through that. You can get your Godhead for 64. We can see here that there's a symbol that runs through astrology that is accommodating it. You are the juxtaposition. You can Google all of this just to learn more. Another thing that you can Google is maybe the type of environment that you're moving from into, like gate 15 to gate 12. And then the type of people you need to be around to be successful, moving from gate 12 to gate 11. And that's literally how you'd Google it. Maybe you could see what grounds you in life through the earth. There's a lot of different things that you could talk about. But as an astrologer, you may already know some of the characteristics, and you can throw the astrology characteristics towards the planets and see what it means with the I Ching gates. So yes, this is going to be my particular human design experience for this reflector. imShredda. imShredda, what's most important for you to know is that you are here to move with the moon, to make decisions based on a 30-day cycle. Kind of sucks, I know, but it really gives you the idea on what you need to do. There's a lot of Googling that you can do regarding who you are, but the most important thing is that you understand your yes and no, because if you understand your yes and no, then you are going to allow your purpose to flow through you without getting your brain involved. You're going to have those realizations through your confusion. So just make sure you continue to wait your lunar cycle instead of using your emotions to guide you or your gut to guide you. Make sure you're using the moon, allowing it to run through you to give you that feeling. And if one lunar cycle's not enough, wait another one, because you might find yourself in disappointment if you act too quickly. It might fall on deaf ears. It just might fail just because you don't have the energy available. But I see that it's important for you to move physically. I'm not saying to go outside and work out, but what you do at night is dancing is good. The walks that you take down to the store are good. That's good for you. Your body likes it. It likes moving. If you don't move, I'm sure you understand how different your body feels. But yes, you need to make sure that you wait that lunar cycle. That's the most important thing of this whole thing, because that allows your purpose to flow through you. If your body says yes, move through that yes. You allow your purpose to flow through you. If you do the opposite, you get tossed off your trajectory and might find yourself in disappointment.